The intended use of this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guests independently, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Updog Challenge Incorporated, its sponsors, or any other partnered organizations. Updog Challenge Incorporated does not guarantee the accuracy or reliability of any opinions expressed. In no way should the information provided during the Sweet Spot and Updog podcast be considered veterinary, medical, legal, or professional advice. At all times, the advice of your personal professional should supersede any information provided, derived, or inferred from listening to this podcast.
Ready, set, go.
Welcome to the Sweet Spot, an Updog podcast. I'm Andrea Morissette.
And I am Jack Bailey, and we have a guest today.
Our guest is Sara Brueske. Whoop, whoop.
Hi, Sara. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so Sara jumped in last minute because we had a great topic idea today, and Jack can tell you where the topic idea came from, but when he proposed the topic, there's a very short list of people that would be great guests for this topic, and you were on that short list. So
I feel so honored.
because you have a ton of dogs.
Yeah.
So basically,
okay.
Wait a minute. It couldn't have been that short of a list then, because I know lots of people with a ton of dogs.
But it's not only a ton of dogs. It's somebody who's a dog trainer. That was important, a competent dog trainer with a ton of dogs that are also high drive dogs. So you can have a bunch of lap dogs around, and that's going to be a different living and life experience than having a bunch of performing dogs. And a lot of the people that we know that have a ton of performing dogs, personally, a lot of people that I know are full-time performers. And so that's a very different lifestyle than somebody who lives in a home and has a ton of different high drive dogs. So instead of kind of going the route of talking to people who have more like show experience managing large high drive packs, we wanted to talk to a dog trainer who has more of a home lifestyle that can talk and kind of give some feedback and ideas and management tools for high drive packs in a home environment. What do you think about that idea?
I'll just kind of set this up, Sara, because, we had a solid pack of dogs that had been around each other for a long time. Obviously, they were high drive Frisbee dogs, but, we had figured out logistically how to manage them in the household and how to make sure that, the energy level in the household didn't get too crazy or anything like that. Of course, you have those times when, an unexpected UPS guy spends too much time at the front door or something like that, and the dogs start barking. But outside of, crazy things that might happen, it was very manageable. Everything worked out fine. And then we had Doc Brown join us. And Doc's got a ton of energy, super happy, fun, high driving dog. And took a little bit of adjustments, but that wasn't too bad. And we were back in sync. Everything was going. And then we got another puppy that was unexpected, Jitterbug. And so now we've got two young dogs with a ton of energy, a pack kind of figuring out what's going on, with these two new dogs. And honestly, this all came to a head and we had some, that's when I started asking Dre, when we also took in another dog to board for a few days, not like real boarding, just a friend that needed, pet sitting, and somebody that just needed us to watch her dog for a while. Another high drive border collie that some of the dogs knew, some of the dogs didn't know. And then all of a sudden, our calm, normal, we had our routines, we had everything down, kind of disintegrated. And it just brought me back to ground zero. Where you're how did I ever start this to begin with? How did we get to the nice calm place where everything was manageable? And I sort of forgot some of the things that we had done at the beginning. And I just thought, this is a good topic of what are some ways to manage the high drive, the arousal, that happens when you've got a bunch of high energy dogs living together in a small space. And the first question that I kind of had actually was just why does this happen? What causes this to happen? Is it fear? Is it arousal? Is it excitement? What are y'all's thoughts on why do you think that that this happens. Like, because everything can be calm, and then all of a sudden somebody barks or somebody moves and things start happening and the energy level starts rising, and I'm like, ah.
I think a lot of it has to do with everybody's just getting to know each other. And so think about like when you get a new job, right? And you go into that new job and you're kind of figuring out your relationship with everybody, your dynamic, what is, what things are acceptable, what things are not acceptable. Um, what sets off real alarm bells, like if the company says something, like do people actually get upset about that or not? So I think it's just everybody's really trying to figure out that dynamic and the rules of the house and where they fit into that group. And so if we think about, like you mentioned barking, for instance, I have one bad alert barker in my house and it drives me absolutely batty. My dogs are really, really great in that the UPS can drop stuff off and nobody barks, nobody cares. They're just like, yeah, it's the UPS guy, not a big deal. And then there's Vibrant. And Vibrant's like, a leaf fell a mile and a half away, and everybody needs to know about that. Now, when I bring in other dogs into my house that don't know Vibrant and don't know that she alert barks at literally everything in the world, they take her seriously at first, right? They're like, "Oh my goodness, this dog is saying there's something going on. Oh my goodness!" And they respond to that as well because they don't know her. But they pretty quickly start to follow the social cues of the other dogs in my household and realize that, oh, nobody cares. Nobody cares that Vibrant's barking because it doesn't actually mean anything. And so the dynamic of that is important for new dogs to learn and start to realize that, oh, when so and so barks, it actually matters. When this dog barks, it doesn't actually matter. Oh, I can be pushier with this dog versus this other dog. And they're just trying to figure each other out. But where that comes in and where the training side of things comes in is I have to be able to be there to reinforce the behaviors I like, limit the behaviors I don't like. And if I'm not doing that from day one with those dogs, those behaviors can spiral out of control so quickly. So if I had another, and I'm going to use reactive very, very nonchalantly here. Vibrant is reactive. She's reactive to stimuli in her environment, not in a bad way, not at all in a bad way where she's barking, lunging, or anything like that. I mean, like, lungy, barky, aggressive, or anything like that. She just reacts to things in her environment by barking, right? It's not bad, it's just who she is. So if I brought in another dog that was reactive like Vibrant is, and they feed off of each other, and I didn't get a handle on that like right away, those two would spiral with each other, right? And so if I have a dog that I know, or there's even a chance that that tendency might happen, I'm immediately going, okay, I need that dog by me in the house, maybe tethered to me, maybe on a play stay, maybe in an X pen, where if Vibrant starts barking, doing her whatever she does, because she's Vibrant, I can go immediately reinforce my new dog for staying calm, right? And interrupt that dog barking. So they can quickly learn that Vibrant's barking doesn't matter. We can just ignore that barking and I can get a handle on that. And the other part of that is I'm really setting this dog up to follow the social cues of the dogs I want her to learn from. So she's going to be out more with my calm dogs, my dogs that already have well-established behaviors in the house that I want to be replicated, versus she's not going to be hanging out with Vibrant. Like, Vibrant's got nothing I want any dog to follow and to mimic or learn that that's the way our household runs. And so I do a lot of that separation, but it's in a way to help the new dog learn the lay of the land. And of course, this all comes with I have to meet the needs of that dog, exercise, mental stimulation, all of that in order for them to learn to be calm in this house as well.
Yeah, the part that stood out for me that I was thinking that whole time is, and your existing dogs are calm in the house.
Yes.
So like the new dog is going to come in and do whatever they do, and your pack is going to be your pack. So Vibrant is still going to be Vibrant regardless of who comes in the house. And maybe all the other dogs are going to be cool, calm, and collected because that's what you've trained and reinforced. So if you're bringing a puppy into the house and your existing pack is a little wild, you can't expect the puppy to not be that way. They're going to learn from that existing pack. They're gonna be like, sweet, I just moved into the wild, wild west, and now we get to put on our cowboy hats and be crazy all day. So the existing pack is really important, as Sarah said, because they're gonna learn from that, but you can select safe dogs. I would say my safe dogs, because my other ones bite other dogs that come in the house. I have a biting thing in my house. When new dogs come in, certain dogs will bite those dogs.
Yeah.
It's just a thing. So guess what? My new dogs don't get to see those
Right.
dogs.
Right.
until they're integrated with the safe dogs in the house that they
Hmm.
can learn the rules, and then they get slowly integrated with me present with the biting dogs and make sure they can continue those rules with those dogs present. And if they can't, they just don't get to be with those dogs until they can. But I
Right.
wanted to point out specifically that plan that Sarah just mentioned. It's really important to pick out the part that your existing dogs at home know the program and stick to the program before you can expect a dog to come in and operate with that program. So you have to be able to control the baseline of dogs.
And really, it's no
Right.
different than any other behavior in that matter, right? So we can't add a distraction to a behavior that we trained until we know our dog is solid with it, and we can't generalize that. So just like a downstay that I'm working on with my dog, I can't add that food bowl distraction or another dog distraction until it's solid. So same thing with my pack at home. I can't add the distraction of a new
There we
dog
go.
coming into that environment until my dog is solid enough to have that added in. And if it's not, then just know you're going to have to do a lot more management, and that's okay. So, with my dogs that I have out, it might just be that you have just one dog that gets to hang out with that new dog at first, and that's okay because your new dog needs time to adjust to the household, and things like tethering and X pen or even just down crate time is really important for them to learn that relaxing in the house is the priority versus just a full-on brawl, which a lot of young dogs like to do.
Jack.
So let's just say, and I don't think that that's the case with our pack right now or anything, but let's just say that my pack is not under control. And how do I get them under control? Like what should I be doing? Like you mentioned, Sarah, you said management can sometimes be something that can help. Um, and I imagine when you say management, we're talking about possibly separating dogs, having some dogs out, some dogs in crates. What other things are we talking about when we're talking about managing?
So I like to have a spot in my house that dogs can just be dogs and it's not a big deal, right? And so that's my downstairs right now. So Cake and Vibrant get to be loose down there and they can wrestle and they can brawl and they can do whatever they want to do. They can be crazy dogs down there. But if they're upstairs in my living room, the expectation is that they are laying on the couch or they're chewing on a Benny bone and they are relaxed. And if they're not, then they're going to get put away at that point, or I'm going to tether them, ask them to lay down, and help them through that struggle. And so, if I want to maintain the rule of you need to, when you're upstairs in our living room with us, you need to be calm, that means I can't have, likely cannot have Vibrant and Cake out at the same time because they're not going to be able to be calm around each other. I mean, now they probably could, but I'm talking like when they were younger. So let's just go back to 2 years when they're both a year old, right? Or a year and 2 years old, but just a lot younger in general. They wouldn't have come upstairs together at any point just because it would have been so difficult for them to ignore each other and not play and cause, they're coolies. They're jumping off the couch and doing parkour all over everything. But having, Cake up there with Zuma, Zynga, Taboo, Kickstart, Zip Tie, the ones that are calm and laying down and modeling that good behavior is going to help them learn that, oh, we're in this space. Everybody's sitting on the couch relaxing. That means I have to sit and relax as well. And so it's kind of strategically doing a crate and rotate, right? So it's not that they're crate and rotate because they can't be around other dogs. It's that I only want them out and functioning in those spaces that have rules when they're likely to be able to do those. And I'm not having to get on them constantly about it or anything like that. So I'm setting them up for success as much as possible. And then as they're getting better, so like Cake has always been really good about just settling. I can start introducing Vibrant up there as well. And that's what we're at now is they can be out together. They can chew on Benny bones. They don't try to wrestle or anything like that in that space anymore because it's not something that's allowed. If it is, oh, sorry, time to either work a place stay or tether you or put you somewhere else for a little bit until everybody chills out.
Yeah.
So I know a little bit about tethering. I know Dre does. But can one of you guys just, for somebody listening that maybe doesn't know what tethering is, what is tethering?
Go for it, Dre. I don't tend to tether. I tend to use baby gates and X pens a lot more.
Mhm. Well, I have two tethers set up right now, and I tend to use, I have baby gates set up on all the major entrances of the house. But we don't use those very often unless I'm like dividing dogs in two different groups. So if I had like a friend come and visit, I would divide the house. But for the most part, I would only close one of these gates if they were zooming circles. I don't have a large enough house to have a space for them to be able to romp and play without rules. So basically, there's mats down in this training area. They can romp and play in this living room, and then if they get too excited or the energy gets too crazy, I use climbs. So climbs and cados. So each dog has a specific spot in the house that's their spot, and if they can't hold that spot, they have a tether. So right now, I have tethers for Capiche and Chillin. Capiche has the most trouble with impulse control, and she's the one who's most often in trouble for barking, reacting. She's the dog that if she's not getting enough attention, she'll bark and get the whole house to react and explode. So she is often the one that is on tether instead of being in a crate because we don't want her living in her crate. So she has a lot of anxiety. She's hard to manage as a dog to live with, and so a climb is a way for her to still be active in the house and engaged with the whole group, but I can put her on her tether and she can be limited. She can't jump off and bite anybody. She can't guard any toys. She can't steal toys from anybody. She can't do any of the naughty behaviors, but the dog can't live in a kennel all the time. Like, I don't, well, she could. I don't want her to live in a kennel all the time. I want her to have a fulfilling life, but I also don't want to be driving crazy and screaming at my dog all day long. So the tether is a great way of letting her be in the environment, and then it's so easy. If she's good and she holds it, I just slide the collar off. And then she can stay on her tether. And then she gives me a few minutes, I mean, on her climb, she gives me a couple minutes of that. And then I can release her. And if she gets over aroused or she gets in trouble or something happens, just go to your climb. And so they eat there. There's a really high reinforcement history on their climbs. When we do trick training in the house, they're all on their climbs. So it's very highly reinforced. It's not a punishment system, just like my kennel is not a punishment system. It's a placeholder for the dog. That's their safe space. They can go if they want to be left alone. No other dog is allowed to be in their space. If they come up to their climb, another dog is there, then the other dog needs to get off. So it's kind of like their own private apartment, but it still gives them the opportunity to be in the space of the house, but I have a control method instead of just sticking them in a crate. I feel like the sticking them in a crate part doesn't really teach them anything. Which the one thing I wanted to say about what Sarah had said is people ask me quite often, how often do you train your dogs? And I say all day, every day, and that's why. I don't know, I think I did a 2-minute training session with a couple dogs yesterday, but like I've had a busy life. I'm training other people's dogs more than I'm training mine in a structured training session. But what my training looks like a lot of the times is like duration work or tricks in a random environment where they're not expecting. So having a dog hold a position, stay in a climb or in a kennel with the door open, stay on a tether and have good behavior, that's dog training. So they're working. That's hard for their brain. That's hard for their body when they have energy inside their body and they want to get it out. That counts as dog training. So if when people ask how often you train your dogs, just consider that when they're working on these in-house behaviors, especially if it's a new dog and they're trigger stacked, like their arousal is already up and their stress is already up, it's really hard for them to just get to meet all their new housemate mates, much less learn the rules and then maintain that behavior over time when they're under that kind of stress. So anyway, that's a long way of talking about tethering. I like tethering.
No, that was good. That was good. So like, all right, so that's super helpful for us thinking about our dogs in our home environment. As we were talking about this, I also know that this sometimes happens at events, right? Like our dogs are in the vehicle, let's say, and it's so and so's turn to go out and play a game, go out and play four-way play or something. And so I'm going to my car and I'm going to grab one dog and take it out of the crate. And as I take that dog out of the crate, all the other dogs get super excited, start barking,
Yep.
get very, the energy level rises. I think that's the best way to say it. And as I'm walking away from the car is, full of
Rocking
noise
and
and barking
rolling.
and possibly, yeah, possibly rocking back and forth. And by the way, this is all a hypothetical situation.
Oh, not you,
Um,
of course.
no, no. Unless Remix is in the car, then it's just, it's game on from the time that we leave the house to we get to the event. But anyways, what are some ways that you guys would think of to kind of help that situation with I think it's a similar situation of like high arousal, excitement. But now we're in a different environment. We're possibly in crates in the car. What can we do to maybe kind of help that situation?
I'm going to have you guys edit this part out. Penguin is thrashing her toy around really loudly. So give me 1 second here so I can throw her some food. So sorry.
No problem.
Good news, we can't hear it. Her bird. You're wham. You just see like bloop, lick, lick, bloop, bloop, lick, lick. I like that
Yeah,
tree house.
I wish it was Jitterbug or Wham that got invited. Then I could just shove them in a
Shove them in the
bag.
carrier. Hey, get up. I knew you were going to do that. Get up in your condo. Magic, get up. Magic.
Go to your apartment.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So
GTI,
sorry.
GTI
She's
parking
learned that
only.
at the last podcast I did. She started thrashing that toy around and learned really quickly that I'll get up and throw her food. And so, yay, I got that problem now.
You just got to have a little, you'll have a little jar for her next to your podcast thing. And you like, clink.
I'm
It's
gonna
called
start
the
doing
penguin payment time.
a manners
Penguin
minder
payment.
on top of her cage. Just start. Anyway, so I apologize about that. But
That's all
I am
right. So the question was about to both of you guys,
barking in
just
the
about
car.
like
Yeah.
ideas for, now the environment's changed. It's in a vehicle. What ideas do we have for that?
Yeah. One of my favorite ways to counteract that is you can call it distracting with food if you want, but honestly, it's starting to teach my dog to lower their arousal when something exciting like that happens. And so what I tend to do is use Cheese Whiz, and so I'll have a can of Cheese Whiz in my car. And for my dogs that I know are going to have an issue with me taking out another dog, I open up their crate. I do a line of Cheese Whiz on both sides. That way, they're going to sit there and lick that off of their crate as I get that other dog out. And so that licking is part of the dissection part of the prey chase model, hunt model, whatever it's called. And so it actually starts to release some of those stress reducing things in their brain and helps them lower their arousal. And it's a little impractical at first, right? Because you're having to cheese whiz and everything else.
There's cheese whiz all over the
Just cheese whiz all over the place. But because it's cheese whiz, it's a higher value for most dogs, and it takes a little bit more time for them to lick it up. What ends up happening, my next step after that, if my dog is able to eat that cheese whiz and everything else, is to have a Kong in their crate or at the front of the van or wherever, and I start spraying the cheese whiz in the Kong and I hand that to my dog. So first step is on the sides of the crate because it's right there. It's easy for the dog. It's more likely that they'll be successful with that. Then it's in a Kong, so it's a little bit more difficult. And pretty soon it's just a scatter of treats through their crate door as I go ahead and grab the next dog out. And again, this is going to be something that if your whole van is barking, it's not going to be a very practical thing.
Mhm.
So you might have to start with just 2 dogs in the van and work through it with those 2 dogs, and then add in a third dog and then add in a fourth as it goes. Just like anything else, when we do training, we do have to break it down and help our dogs be as successful as possible. But the things that don't work and the things that make us other trainers go, oh my God, is when we hear people yelling at their dogs from a distance. So I know that you can hear your dog and you know which one it is. Just walk up and tell them to knock it off versus yelling from across the field, or tell somebody to go tell them off or whatever. But just it
It
stresses
might
us
make
out.
you feel better. Might
Yes.
make you feel better on the
I
field,
feel
but
much better when
it's
I
Sorry,
come back.
probably not
Ray.
helping anything.
It's so
No,
great. I love
I
it.
know. And I know I do the same thing, but it's just one of those things that's like, ooh.
Well, if the dog is barking and you don't say anything, you feel like obligated to like kind of say something, like
Well,
remix,
get up,
seriously.
get up and go to your van and say it versus yelling
Yeah.
from across the field.
I love that. So I'm stealing your cheese whiz idea.
It's
I've done
amazing.
the Kongs and the scatters
Mhm.
before. Never thought of the cheese whiz, so I'm adding that because Capiche is awful. Um, I did have one more thought about that was unrelated to that, and I'm gonna have to wait for it to come back. But I love the cheese whiz idea. That was really cool. Oh, classical conditioning. Random thought about classical conditioning came up since you really covered the dog training aspect of it well. I've noticed, and this is now that I'm not doing shows, so I don't have 17 dogs in my van, right? Like it's a more manageable number. But I've noticed the value of taking my dogs places and having them do nothing. Having them come
Yes.
out of their crate and do nothing and then go back in your crate. Like I walked chilling around probably 10 contests where he didn't catch any frisbees. He just walked around the contest and went back in. At a dog show, walks around the fair, goes back in. So like if you classically condition that when you go somewhere, there's smelling and licking and enrichment, but not necessarily assumption of arousal, then the classically conditioned response that you'll get in that environment is excitement about enrichment versus excitement about arousal. Does that make sense? It's like
Yes.
anticipating what they're walking into. So like that's just one of those things if you're ever debating, you don't want to load all your dogs, run one of them.
And
Bring them
honestly,
everywhere with you.
I'll take it even a step further. The car doesn't mean anything fun's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like honestly, and I think that was a big thing I learned with I had two Great Danes, and I couldn't load them up in the car without them literally whining in my ear right here because we were going somewhere fun, and they never went in the car unless it was to do something fun, and my life revolved around them. So we literally were in the car to do something fun every single day. And so I very quickly figured out with my next dogs that no, we go in the car to go to the grocery store, to do the drive-through at Starbucks, and we don't get pup cups.
Mhm. I know
Because nothing fun
that
happens
gets
in the
bad
car.
too. They're just
Like,
drooling as soon as you pull up to Starbucks.
right? They figure it out. And so, honestly, my dogs are in the car every single day. Obviously, safety, obviously, temperature monitoring, all of, weather dependent, but they go in the car to do nothing fun. And that's a super important part. They go in the car, come out for just potty breaks. That way we're practicing pulling out another dog and they're not watching that dog play frisbee. And I wish more people would do that. Just bring your dog places that aren't fun more often
Yeah.
than not.
So a little more of that classical conditioning to support the dog training portion of it too. The energy you put into it is what you get out for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, good
Um,
suggestions. I know I've heard that one before, and that one for me, I'll just be honest, like I just need to always remind myself to do it. Like it's one of those things where like, well, almost like set a schedule to do it or something like that because I don't think to bring them sometimes places that wouldn't be fun for them, or I don't think to load them all up into the van and only let one of them out to play and then bring them all back. It doesn't seem normal for us, but like you have to like make a conscious decision to do it. It's kind of like when I when I first started playing with dogs and training with dogs, I would go out and I would take them outside and we would be like running around, throwing discs, having fun. And then at the end of it, I'd be like, oh yeah, I was going to work on such and such today. And I just totally didn't even think about it because I didn't set a plan and I didn't have it as I walked out with my dog to go, all right, we're going to work on this today or whatever. So, but I think that that's an excellent thing to keep in mind and schedule and do. All right,
yeah,
Dre, I
that was
think
a good.
you've got one more question there, right?
Yeah. So, Sarah, what would you do after everything explodes?
Oh, so I
Like,
have a story about this one.
yeah,
My dogs.
other than
So
cry and leave and beg someone else to help your dog.
I am not a morning person. Like when I initially wake up, after I'm up and like I've done my routine, then I am totally a morning person. I'd rather be, functioning in the morning versus at night. But that initial wake up is so hard for me. And the last thing I want to do is dog train. And so my dogs notoriously, anybody that's stayed at my house knows this, that when my alarm goes off, all of my dogs explode. Like they just bark and carry on, and then we go and do our potties and feeding and everything else. And my justification has always been, I don't want to deal with them in the morning. You do you guys, like whatever, it's fine. I'm not dog training first thing in the morning when my alarm goes off. Like it's not what I want to do. Well, then I had a neighbor say that they don't appreciate my dogs barking at 5:30 in the morning as they run down the deck to go potty. And I was like, oh, you don't? Neither do I. That's so funny. um, so I had to immediately put in a training plan for that. And so for them, again, going off of it's an arousal thing, looked for a way that I could easily function and get my dogs to be quiet in that moment. And so it was literally keeping a box of goldfish crackers at my headboard. And then when my alarm went off, I grabbing a handful of goldfish crackers and literally chucking them across my room for a giant scatter for my dogs. And you know what? So I did
Beef
it
whiz
there.
and goldfish.
Seriously. Professional dog trainer. This is fine. So I would do that one because again, it's a scatter, right? So that's naturally lowering arousal. This is all professional dog training advice. I don't know why you're laughing. It's fine. And then when they would go out the
He's
door
sponsored by
again,
Pepperidge Farm.
I was like, I want to know what the major brand is. Kraft,
yeah,
Kellogg's.
it's it's a cute little goldfish, and they're so cheap. You could do the
We
same
can
with
make our
Cheerios,
own. We can
honestly.
make our own. Make your own little goldfish people.
Yes,
You could do it.
exactly. So then they would do the same thing when obviously I opened the door because they would, bark on their way down to the potty. And so I'd do a giant scatter there too. And it was something that I could easily do without having to put thought into it. And it effectively solved that initial explosion of barking. Um, and then now I don't, my dogs don't bark at my alarm. I did it probably, I would say maybe for 2 weeks. And then I just stopped doing it and they were fine. But at any point where, if I have a new dog come in and they start doing that again, vibrant, I can just repeat that same process, right? The important caveat with this, though, is you can only have the dogs in that moment that are not going to resource guard over those
Yeah.
goldfish. So if you have resource guarding tendencies, then we need to, again, think about management. Maybe have a baby gate for those dogs, have them on a tether, have them in a separate little spot so that, again, you can start training this. Because if we are training a calm reaction, and this is the same way I would use like a quiet cue, I would say quiet, and then a giant scatter for everybody to help break up that. But that way we're not having any issues with resource guarding or anything like that. So some management might have to go into it if you do have a dog that has those tendencies.
I was imagining the giant pile of dogs at the bottom of the steps
So
fighting over the
if you
goldfish in my
chuck
house.
the
That would
handful of goldfish, they scatter well enough that they're not just in one spot.
yeah.
You gotta literally just throw those
Yeah,
suckers.
I have a few really bad resource guarders. So what I was actually thinking when you were saying that, I was like, oh Lord, that would be bad. But you could create the same thing by releasing, like I have three dogs. I have two dogs I could safely release that won't make any noise resource, like they won't resource guard.
Right.
I have one I could release that'll make noise resource guarding, but won't put teeth on anybody. And
Hmm.
then I have two dangerous dogs.
Yeah. So,
So I would release the new dog with the two safe dogs with the scatter, and then I would let the one dog that would make noise come into the environment and test him. I would train him,
mhm.
but
And
I would do that same
honestly,
method, right? But I would trickle them out and then have
right.
that boundary of those other dogs just don't get to be in that let out.
Right. And I have a couple that are a little resource guardy. So Taboo, definitely. And
Mhm.
then like Zip Tie and Zinga won't appreciate another dog going for the same goldfish that she is. Where I started doing this in a kind of a more calm fashion, and it really did help them learn that not every dog is going to go for theirs, and they can still eat their treat, and the other dog can eat theirs nearby. Was I did kibble scatters out in the yard in the grass.
Mhm.
And so that way it's a little lower arousal. They get a sniff, and obviously this is supervised, but it provided really good enrichment and helped them learn that they can all eat in more of a communal situation,
Yeah.
so that you could use it more effectively in a situation like this where arousal is a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But yeah, management might be part of it. And so if I had so Taboo doesn't sleep in bed with me because she literally tries to sleep on my face. So for her, she was X-penned off when I was working on this. And so I was able to toss some treats in there for her
Mhm.
while I scattered for the other dogs. And so she got used to that situation too in a lower arousal or in a heavier managed situation, keeping everybody safe.
Yeah, really good information here about like some framework that you're laying out. So like you can absolutely do the entire method that Sarah was outlining about letting them out calmly with a scatter with any type of pack if you do the framework of ahead of time of preparing the dogs to be able to be in that environment successfully. So like I don't have a pack that can just do that without the framework. So I would have to practice my dogs. I would probably start with a scatter in my yard
Hmm.
and just put it everywhere. And I'd be out there watching the two dogs to make sure if they got
Yeah.
close to any other dog that there wasn't a reaction. And then
And
I
keep a
would work,
leash on them so you can just
yeah,
go grab
you
the
can
leash
work
if you need
throwing cookies
to,
to
bring
those
them to
dogs
a
or
different
whatever.
spot. Yep,
Yeah, and
exactly.
ultimately, that's a pack benefit. Now I know
Mhm.
if I drop something now I have rules in the kitchen to manage this. No one's allowed to touch anything that hits the floor, right? Because I don't want a fight at my feet or them to pick up a pill or something they're not supposed to eat in general. But let's say there's a high value resource on the floor in the house that's that same sort of benefit. Working on these sorts of things so that there isn't this huge arousal spike when something like that happens, and then the dogs that are more sensitive to those, Vibrant and a couple dogs in my house that are just sensitive to some kind of arousal spike, right? They react in some sort of way. that can be softened by having some of that groundwork laid in your house. That's a really good one, the scatter of the house and the cheese whiz. That's my big takeaway so
Great.
far.
I'm glad it could be so helpful. But yeah, like having a toddler, like and having those dogs loose all the time, she's dropping food all the time. And not only that, but my dogs are obsessed with eating her crayons right now. Those are super high value to my dogs for whatever reasons.
What do your poops
Um,
look like?
they're
You
very
have
colorful.
colorful
They're rainbow
rainbow
poops.
poops.
Yes, I know exactly who's eating those crayons. But having done those kibble scatters in the yard, like it was such a huge help, not just, for my dogs to learn the skill of being able to eat in a communal fashion, but helped me learn to relax around them, around things of higher value too. So definitely is something to work on, I think, for sure.
That's a really good point we didn't talk about is the handler's stress they add into a situation. For sure, I add stress into situations around my less safe dogs.
And it's so
Um,
much easier and less stressful if you just chuck a handful of goldfish
and they won't kill each other when
and
they
they
eat
won't
them.
kill each
So
other when they eat them.
this is a new
Yes.
goal. Jack is all friendly. His dogs are all friends with each other. I mean, Spice is the queen and she doesn't like anybody taking her stuff. And the boys can be a little sensitive of their space to each other, but they're intact, so that makes sense.
Mhm.
But like I think in general, your pack is pretty safe, Jack.
Yeah, and I've used the scatter technique for lots of different things. Like Doc he loves to run, and so like I realized quickly that he was not going to stay at the door like the other dogs do when I asked for the stay. And so like I've started working with him on like, at each doorway entry, there's a little thing of kibble, and I can like ask him for a sit stay, give him the kibble, and like, like we've done some of the scatter stuff, and also just like I said, treating at doorways and things like that, so that he's under a little bit more under control. But yeah, everybody's okay with like there's a bunch of kibble on the ground, and they all go grab whatever they can, but they don't get in each other's business, which is great.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
really
good
nice.
skill.
All right, guys. So thank you very much. You guys gave me some good ideas, made me remember some ideas that, like I said, sometimes like you need a reset when new dogs come into your pack, and you have to think back again about how you like made things manageable from the beginning. So thank you for both of those things. And Sarah, do you have some time for a time warp challenge before we end the
Oh,
show?
always, absolutely always. I still talk about the question you asked me that last time, which was, if you could only wear one color for the rest of your life, what color would it be? And I said gray, and Dre just like look gave this look like that's not even a color.
It's a shade.
Did you do you now that you have more than like a split second to think about it, would you have made a different choice?
No,
You
because you
still say
said wear
gray.
one color. And so like to me, that's like pants and shirt. I seriously tell everybody about this. And I defend myself every time. So gray, because there's different shades of gray, right? I could wear different shades of gray, so I have variety there. And then my accessories literally could be any color, and they would not
Sorry.
conflict with my gray. So no, I stick with my answer. I stand by
I
it.
like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay.
Representing that gray rainbow.
Okay.
All right. I have the timer ready. Jack, the first one's pink, but is it going to be you still?
Yeah, I'll start with the first one. That makes it
Okay.
easier.
All right, good. Are you ready, Sarah?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Time War Challenge. Ready, set, go.
Sarah, what is your favorite season?
My favorite season, my microphone cut out. It is spring.
Would you rather sip hot chocolate or apple cider?
Apple cider, actually a chai latte with apple cider. It's perfect.
Nice. How long is too long to stay in zone one in the game of Greedy?
It's never too long. You can
Oh,
get those last three catches so fast.
what series should we binge watch?
I'm rewatching The Good Place right now.
That's a good one.
What is your favorite Updog crossover game?
7 Up.
Name three colors associated with the winter holidays.
Blue, silver, and white.
Should a sandwich include pickles?
No.
17 seconds. Name a person from the disc dog community that we should have on the podcast.
Tracy Custer.
Name one person whose phone number you know by heart.
My mom's.
Where do the Who's live?
In Whoville.
Oh, with 4
Yes, sir.
seconds left, Sara Brueske does it again, wins our time warp challenge. Woo woo!
Woo.
And she strolled
Nice.
through that. Like,
I didn't know if that last question, if you would be like, what? Who?
The Who's. I have a almost
she's
4-year-old.
on
I know the
point.
Who's.
That's true. And
She's
I
still
just
got it in
figured,
the pocket.
maybe because it was the season, people might capture what I was trying to go for there. Good job,
Okay,
Sarah.
there's good
Yes.
stuff there though. Apple
Yeah,
chai
so
apple cider
my
latte.
local co-op has an apple cider chai latte mix, and it is literally the best thing ever.
Is
It's
it
all
like
I
a
think about every day.
powder or something you can share with friends, or is it just at one location made fresh?
Made fresh. So it's at my co-op has a coffee bar in it, and they make a chider,
So
and
next
I
time
love
that I
it.
come to Minnesota, will you bring me one of those?
If they still have it, it's seasonal.
Oh, all right. And I have a second question. What about greedy? This was zone one, greedy.
Zone one.
You said you
Yeah.
said you could stay in zone one as long as you want for greedy?
Well,
Well,
she said that there was
get your
no, said how
catches.
Yeah.
long is
Oh,
too long,
so
and
you
she
get
said
all
there
four.
isn't.
So you get all four of your zone one catches.
That's what I would try to do, and then you can, if you have to, just get your last, ones on the other zones.
All right.
Get your
Those
four
Just
are all
do
my
sweet
catches.
questions.
spot,
That's
sweet spot, sweet spot,
Yeah,
and run really
exactly.
fast.
all right.
Exactly. Get those
Okay.
5-point catches.
All right. I was making sure we're clear about that strategy because now everybody's going to go out and do it. And I was shocked that your favorite crossover game is not Frizzagility because you guys were like the OG absolute dominators of that game
Yeah, I like it. I honestly, I like all of, actually, I probably would be funky right now, to be honest.
because there's more options and more equipment.
Well, no, I'm happy with my strategy in general with that one. I like all of them. So yeah, I love all the crossover games.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I want to
I think
know,
that's all.
besides your mom, do you know lots of people's phone numbers?
No, I know my mom's and my husband's and literally, oh, and Happy Dog Lodges, and that's it. Literally, that's it.
Yeah.
You actually
Yeah.
type in phone numbers on a phone?
Huh?
Do
Well,
you actually call people by typing in their phone number, or you just like to
No.
give somebody? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Like when I thought about it, I was like, whose do I know? And those were the same ones. I know
Yeah.
Kat's, I know my mom's because
You have
that
to
was the
fill
same
out
one when I used
paperwork.
to live there.
Right.
And I know mine.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah,
suppose I know my own number. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh,
You had another option you didn't even know.
four whole numbers.
Four whole
Great.
numbers.
Yep. I always think about that. Like when I get arrested and I get one phone call, do they do they
Calling your
do they
mom.
get do they give you? I don't want to call my mom.
Not your
She won't.
mom.
I'll just get yelled at.
Don't you're gonna get yelled at from Cat too, though.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying. I need another number. So like, do they give you your phone so that you know? Like,
They would
I mean,
have to.
I think
that's
you're
what I
allowed to have
feel
your
like.
so you are allowed to have some sort of phone, I think.
Yeah, they would have to at this
Yeah.
point. It's like in jury duty when you have to call somebody and you're like sequestered or whatever. They like give you
Yeah.
your phone and then you have to call, get the number and they're like watching you the entire time. So that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that
Anyway,
makes me
I'm
feel
glad
a little bit better, so that Cat or my mom aren't
it's
just
gonna get
finding
you.
out. I gotta call somebody else and see if I can get bailed out and come up with a good story before I
Uh,
get home.
I don't think that's a really good strategy, honestly.
you're in trouble either way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
Sarah, it is a pleasure to have your expertise on our podcast. And also, last second, like we just messaged you yesterday and you jumped right in. So, thank you for being willing to make time for us. I know that your schedule is very busy and we are very grateful for your expertise.
Thank you so much for having me. You guys are a blast as always.
so Sarah, if somebody was interested in maybe doing some training with you or taking classes or anything, where could they reach out to find you?
I'm currently teaching at Fenzi Dog Sports Academy online. I don't really have availability for online privates at this time, but you can always message me and check availability. Otherwise, I own a grooming, boarding, training facility in Cambridge, Minnesota called Happy Dog Lodge, and I do take private training students through that.
So,
Excellent.
drop your puppy off at Sarah's boarding
Yeah.
training private facility and 4 months
And
later
she'll
get back
throw,
into the
oh, I
waiting
thought you were
Goldfish
area.
gonna
and give them
say, and
cheese
she'll throw
whiz.
goldfish.
Goldfish. She loves puppies and she'll throw them goldfish and cheese whiz.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Expert dog training.
Yeah. And expert. That is
Well,
expert dog training.
well, thank you to both of you guys, Sarah and Dre, because like I said, I just, had this wondering because of things happening with our pack, and I really had to like think through things that I've done in the past and just wanted to, pick some brains. So I appreciate it. And I know it's going to be helpful to a lot of our listeners as well. If you have additional follow-up questions or you have ideas of your own, please put them in the chat and we will respond. Sara, Dre, thanks very much. You guys listening, thank you guys for listening. And I know it's winter, but hopefully you get out there playing with your dogs on an up-dog field soon. In the meantime, Dre,
Be kind to each other.
and be kind to your animals. We'll see you next time on The Sweet Spot.
Yo, you heard the buzz, heard the word on the street. Up dog challenge, it can't be beat. It ain't just fetch, it's a very special game for the dogs and the people. We all shout its name, whether it's a roller or in the air. My canine companion doesn't really care. We're in the up dog zone now. Got that laser focus, making every throw an epic high flying bonus. What's up, dog? We're on the field, sun in the sky, with my best friend soaring, teaching that just to fly. It's the up dog jingle, so come get in the mix for the ultimate teamwork and all the best tricks. From throw and go to freestyle, we're bringing the heat. We're fun, helpful, and a friendly team that can't be beat. So if you love your pup and you love to see the disc really spin, come on down to Up Dog, where the good times begin.
Yeah, where the good times begin.